It's time for what's probably my favorite object, the text object. It's also probably the most versatile object in your arsenal, and it's also often misused. So let's make some room here. We'll move our current selections. We'll right-click, New Sheet Object, Text Object. Before we do anything else, let's just click OK and see what happens. You get a light blue box. Go back in there, Properties, type Hello World, and click OK. You're probably not too surprised that a text object displays text, but it really can do a lot more. Before we get into it, let's look at some of the formatting options. Go to the Properties by right-clicking. The first one you'll probably change is the background color. You can simply change it by clicking on the color button and choosing a color. Let's choose red just for practice. And OK. And now we have a red box. Let's go back into your properties. You can also make it a gradient color. So let's say we want to do 2-color gradient, and in our second color we want to make it orange. We click OK, and we're going to make it diagonal down, and click OK, and OK. You can go overboard. Don't do it. Another option is to simply make it transparent. Go back to the properties, grab your slider bar, go to 100%, and click OK. Now it's clear, shows the background color. Let's go back to your properties, talk about actions. Actions do something when you click an object. Let's click Add, and you'll see a list of action types and actions. We won't go over all of them, but I think a couple will help you get a feel for what you can do. Let's start with Select in Field. It lets you make a selection in a field by clicking a button. For example, you might have a set of selections that you want to make default, something like current year. Select Selection and Select in Field and click OK. You tell it which field to use and what to select. Type year in the field box and 2015 in the search string. Click Apply and OK. Clear your filters and then click the Hello World text object. See how it made a selection for you? If you like, you can add multiple selections to your actions, so you could select 2014 and 15 and Canada, for example, with one click. The next one is something you should put on any published dashboard, and that's a way for your users to get help. Let's first move Hello World out of the way and create a new text object. And in the text, we'll put questions. Change the background color to clear. Go to the Actions tab and click Add. Then select External and Open URL and click OK. In the URL box, type mail to, and the email where you'd like to send the questions. And we'll say test@test.com. Click OK. Now click on Questions. QlikView will ask if it can launch an application. Click Yes, and it will open a pre-addressed email. Looks great. Close this. One last thing. Go back to Properties. And on your font, let's change the color to blue. Click OK, and OK, and underline it. Now it looks like a hyperlink. Move this out of the way. You can also evaluate expressions in a text object. So let's start off simple. Imagine that one of your key metrics is total sales, and you want to just show that number to your users. So first, create a new text object. And here in the text box, we'll put the expression. In a lot of ways, QlikView's expression language is familiar to Excel users. So we'll type equals sum sales amount, and we'll close the parentheses. To let it know that you want to calculate an expression, you need to use an equal sign. If you don't, it thinks it's just plain text. Let's click Apply and look at the result. To show the difference, let's delete the equal sign and click Apply, and now you just have the text. Let's put it back. Equals, and click OK. It's important to understand that the result of sum sales amount is the total sum of all sales in your app. Keep in mind that that number is rarely useful. You'll need to use filters to get a meaningful number, something like 2015 sales for London. There's also a mini expression builder built into QlikView. So let's go back to your properties, delete what we've put in there, click the ellipsis, bring up our expression builder. You could type the expression here in the text box, but we're going to do it with the builder. The aggregation that we want is sum. The field is probably in some kind of a sales field, so we'll look first at order detail. Then we come down here and we find sales amount, click it, and we paste. Gives us the same expression, but it doesn't add the equal sign. Since it's a text object, you must add that. Click OK, and OK, and there's our result. The builder is a good way for beginners to get going, but try not to continue to rely on it. It will just slow you down. Now it's time to format the result. Again, it's a lot like Excel. Let's go into your properties. With the expression, we're going to start off by telling it what kind of number format we want to give it. We'll open a parentheses. At the end, we'll do a comma and a single quote, and we'll do this in dollars. And then we want pound, comma, pound, pound, pound. We don't want any decimal points. We'll close the quote and the parenthesis and click OK. And now you have your sales formatted in dollars. You can also mix and match text and expressions. Let's open your properties and the expression editor. Put your cursor just to the right of the equal sign. Any text you add needs to be enclosed in single quotes. So let's label this. We'll put a quote, sales, colon, quote. Then between the sales and the expression, we'll put an ampersand, give it a little space, and click OK, and OK. And now you have your sales label with your amount, but there's no space. So let's go back to your properties. Right there to the right of the colon, we'll add a couple of spaces because I think it looks nicer. And click OK. Much better. You can also have a carriage return in there. So we'll go back to properties. There are two ways to do it. The first one, so let's get rid of those spaces. We can simply hit a return and click OK. And now we have a line return. I prefer to be a little bit more explicit. So we'll put that back at the top. And here, since QlikView understands ASCII, we'll put in CHR 10, which is a carriage return, another ampersand, and click OK, and we get the same result. The nice thing about this is the next guy that comes along understands that you wanted to make sure there's a line break there. Otherwise, he might think you did it on accident. Another way that you can use a text object is for displaying graphics. As an example, when you publish an app, you want to make sure that it's branded. So let's create a new text object. And instead of a background color, we're going to change it to image. Change. Select your graphic that you want. In the image stretch drop down, choose Keep Aspect. Click OK. Let's resize it. One more thing, let's go back to your properties. And in the actions, choose Add, External, and Open URL. Click OK. In the URL, we'll do www.books.com. pluralsite.com. Click OK. Now your branding will also take you to your home page.